is deep connection and pure love. And that is why he is a certified heart intelligence coach, and who brings a lot of insight and clarity into the lives of his clients, professionally speaking, but also within the Brahma Kumaris. He has been student and a teacher for 25 plus years, and he has always been involved in conducting programs, facilitating, coaching, teaching, etc., on emotional mastery, on mindfulness, stress management and stress reduction, etc. So today is going to be covering the topic of the secret of divine balance, and to be the new you in the new world. Let's hear what that is. Om Shanti. Welcome, Vivek.
Thank you. Thanks for the nice introduction. Just want to check, can you all hear me well?
Yes.
Yes, we hear you very clearly.
Yes. We can.
Okay.
Yes.
1 second. Let me see my. Okay. So thank you for joining in today, and I just thought I would share some of the thoughts on this topic, the secret of divine balance, how to be new you in the new world. Sister Lisa, are you recording this? Okay, yeah, I can see you're recording it, so that's good. Thank you. So, so I don't want to make it like a class or a lecture, so I want to keep it more interactive. So I would ask a few questions, and you're welcome to share your comments on it, your answers, and also if something comes up, feel free to pause and ask me if you want a little more clarity or whatever it is. So we are talking about the balance here, or the divine balance. So when you hear this word divine balance, what actually comes to your mind? And all answers are right answers. It's just your personal experience with it. So what do you think divine balance really means here? Anybody can unmute yourself and then you can share that answer.
The first thing comes to mind is like staying in a Lokik or thing. So like balancing your life between spirituality and real family life or something. That's what comes to mind, like be divine, but at the same time carry on the task you are doing as a person, family members or whatever. That's what I think. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Anybody else would like to share? What do you feel about divine balance when you think about it? You're welcome to unmute yourself and share.
Yeah, I think divine balance perhaps refers to the way things are supposed to be. That's with an assumption that we have some free will to disturb it, and we should not exercise that free will in that way.
Yeah, well, that's a good answer, definitely. Thank you for sharing that. And then if you really look around in the whole world, in the whole universe, actually, things are functioning in a certain order, right? We are in this huge galaxy, right? There are this whole universe, and then we have our own galaxy. Within that, we have our own solar system. And within that, we have our own planets. And each one of them are actually working in a very balanced order, right? So the way the Earth rotates around the sun, its own speed. So all of them are in a specific order, in a specific balance. That's why we are able to enjoy everything what we are able to enjoy. Like, for example, if you really check the speed at which the Earth is rotating on its axis, it's rotating 1,000 miles per hour, right? Do you ever realize that we are sitting on a particular universal heavenly body, which is rotating at that speed. And it's a perfect balance for us to be here on this earth and enjoy this and enjoy all the balances of the power, gravitation, and everything. And if the earth starts rotating at a slower speed, what's going to happen? We are all going to be blown out of this earth's surface into the universe. So all of this, everything which we are experiencing from a nature perspective, it's already working in a very divine balance. And that divine balance is very natural, very accurate. And if I see myself in context with that balance, who am I? Who am I in context with whatever is happening around me? Then I am also the one who is actually a balanced soul. Originally, I'm coming from a place of a balanced original being, a soul. And in my original form, in my original state, I have all the balance, right? Like I have the balance of love, I have the balance of compassion, I have the balance of power, I have the balance of purity. All of those different things are there in balance. And some of you who have taken Raj Yoga course, there are a lot more details. There are 7 original powers of the soul. So how do you create that balance, which is being taught there? So since all of those different parts are in balance, I am always craving to get into that original space when I'm out of balance. And all the things which I'm doing in my life, right? Whether I'm in relationships, whether I'm involved into a particular project or a job or something which naturally gives meaning to my life. These are all ways in which I'm seeking to go back to that balance. Because if something is out of balance, what really happens? I can immediately feel it. Something is off, right? Something is not okay. Something doesn't feel okay. So all of those are different ways in which I can actually feel that I need to make some changes. So if we really talk about simply the balance, when something is balanced, something is in balance, what are the results of those? What are the signs that something is in balance? What do you think are the signs that something is in balance? Anybody would like to share?
You feel calm and stable inside?
Yes, excellent. Yeah, absolutely. You feel calm and stable. What else?
You feel like you have more energy.
You feel like you have more energy.
If you're aligned, you feel more energy. You feel more vibrant. You just feel better all around.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of these things you shared is absolutely correct. And when you are in that space, there is a natural lightness, right? No matter you are doing, it might be very intense work, but there is natural lightness inside, right? Something is like really enjoyable. Also, you feel in the flow, right? The flow is naturally there. It's not like you are looking at the watch all the time. When this job would finish, I would walk out. And overall, there is, because all of this is happening when you are in balance, then the joy is a natural state of being. You don't have to strive, you don't have to struggle, you don't have to make effort that, I have to do something to go outside and get joy. Joy is the natural state of being. So you are moving in that balance state. You are moving from a place of feeling, knowing, presence, and natural acceptance. This is naturally happening all the time. So these are the signs. So if you are not feeling these signs, you're not experiencing these signs in your life, in any area of your life, whether you're personal, professional, then you should actually pause and go back and check what is it that is out of balance or out of alignment in that way. Because from outside, your life might look perfect to somebody else. You have a good job, you have a good family, you have this car, this house, whatever it is. From that outside perspective, it would be great. But if you are not feeling these signs, you're not feeling in alignment, you're not feeling that things are moving in a very light, effortless manner, then no matter what it looks from outside, it's not going to make you feel fulfilled inside. So fulfillment is the key quality. All of these things are working, that you are going, that you're moving in the right direction. There is a natural balance, and that doesn't mean natural balance doesn't mean that all your answers, all your questions are answered. There are no problems in life. You find the best husband, best wife, best kid, or the best boss. All of those things. There would always be certain challenge, certain areas in your life which would need improvement, because challenges are there to help you grow. So all of those things are external, but as you are moving through this journey of life, you would find that there is a natural balance when you feel fulfilled, when these signs are available there. The question is why balance is important. And some of the things which we already talked about, like we are in this universe, huge universe. The planet is moving in a particular order. The solar system is moving in a particular order. So when there is an order, naturally, we are able to enjoy this. Everything works in a particular order, and we have a level of trust that this is how it works. Like every season comes with its own unique qualities, and we go through it. Every year there are 4 seasons, and each season has its own beauty, its own quality. So we enjoy those. So as we do that, we feel that there is a trust. I can feel safe. I can open up and experiment and move forward. So that's why balance is really important. So one of the biggest example in your personal life of balance is what you can point to and say, this is an amazing example of balance. And everybody knows that. Anybody would like to share?
A state of happiness.
State of happiness is right. That it is a result of that. The state of happiness comes from that place when that thing is in balance. So the perfect example of balance is your own body. Sorry, somebody was saying something.
Soul conscious.
Soul conscious, yeah. So that's true also. But before that, if you really see an example, it's your own body. Like the heart is beating exactly at the level it should beat. Whether you're aware or not, whether you're counting or not, it is actually working the way it is. The liver is working the way it is. Your brain is working the way it should be working. And then as say you start running, right? Your body needs more oxygen. There's more metabolism. So your heart starts picking up the pace, right? There are more beats per second. So all of these are actually trying to create balance, because now you need more oxygen in your body. So without your intervention, without you trying to do anything, the body is naturally creating balance all the time. And when you are not in balance at your physical level, then you start seeing different issues, right? Your body goes out of balance, you start seeing different imbalances. So the number one is, like, in the medical term, you call it BMI, right? Body mass index. So if your body mass index goes off, then that's a sign that something is not okay. You start seeing the signs of it in your physical body. Some ailment, some disease would start coming. So all of these things are actually trying to show that as much as I'm trying to be in balance or stay in balance, I would have a good experience with my mind, with my body. As you start having more negative thoughts, more negative emotions, then you go out of balance, right? At your mental and emotional level. And when you go out of balance on your mental and emotional level, then you have a lot of mental diseases, right? You have depression, you have anxiety, all of those things would start coming. And all of these are actually showing that you have gone out of balance with whatever should be your natural state. And we all strive to go back to that state, because deep inside, we also know what that state is. What is that accurate place where balance actually exists at a mental level, at an emotional level, at a physical level. So that's why balance is really important. And as we move away from the main original source, like if I forget who I am, that if I just feel I'm a body, then anything which happens to body would create fear in me, would create anxiety in me. But if I really go deep and I really realize that I am not a body, I'm a spiritual being who is having a physical experience, then I can rebalance myself. But if I completely forget that I'm a physical self I'm a spiritual I'm a spiritual self rather than a physical self, then you would start making things into a different order. And that takes you away from your own original balance. And the more you move away from your original state, which is like, hey, I'm a soul, but you think you're a body, the more you would start getting into different kind of challenges. You would start getting more anxious, more worried, because at a physical level, everything is very transitionary. Things are always changing, things are always moving, and you want to have a balance, you want to have a stability. But at a physical level, you have only so much of stability, so much of balance. But at a mental, at a emotional level, you would try to overthink, how should I bring balance? How should I do these things? But if you are thinking it that I'm a body rather than a soul, rather than an energy, then you are always going to be away from the main source, which is you are. So if you move away from who you are originally, you move away from that original source, the balance would go up. Similarly, if you go away from God in that sense, the balance would go away. Similarly, as we move away from the natural source of our food, right? Like now we go and just buy anything from any of the stores and all of those, and we don't know where it's coming, what is mixed in it, whatever it is, then the food also itself becomes out of balance, right? So the more we are closer buying it from the source, or I'm doing it myself, my own gardening, then it actually creates more balance, more health for me. So that's why balance is really important, because if balance goes off, then you see what happens to the society, what happens to the environment. The environment goes through drastic changes. So right now, when it's not supposed to rain, it's raining. When it's not supposed to be so hot, it's actually really, really hot. So all of those things are the signs that we have got out of balance. And another way, balance also means that that balance doesn't need to be uh, very stringent. You know, when you see a particular rock sitting on another rock in a very delicate balance, it's sitting on just one of the edge, but it is in the balance. That's why it's not falling. So it can happen in a very natural way if we are using the right energy, using the right way to create that balance, right? So, so as we are moving uh, towards this journey of balance, we actually realize that the most important thing is I really need to listen, because if I'm not listening, then naturally I'm going out of balance in what are the signals which are actually coming. Because all the time we have the signals which are actually coming, which are telling us, hey, in this moment you should do this, in this moment you should do this. And when we are growing up, when we are when we are kids, we naturally have that balance. But because of different circumstances, sometimes our parents didn't support what we really want to do, or they are very correcting, very rejecting. In that fashion, we lose in touch with the voice which is coming from inside. And as we lose touch with the voice which is coming from inside, we start listening to voices from outside, right? Because we are compensating for that lack of listening to inside by listening to people's suggestion from outside. So when I lose perspective in like what I really want to do with my life and let go of that voice, then there would be several other people in my life who are going to come and tell me this is what you should do. And all of them in some way or other are telling me in their best wishes, in their best form, what should be the right way to do it. But since I'm listening to them, is their version of balance, right? Their version of what has worked for them, it is not going to create the same effect, same fulfillment in my life. And as you are not fulfilled yourself, then there are other people in the society, and society is filled with a lot more unfulfilled people. Then you see the society overall is unfulfilled, right? The whole society has gone out of balance. Then some people have more power, other people have less power. So the lack of balance in society creates inequality, right? So when there is inequality, that's what you see. All of these things are happening. The other side is trying to take what they feel that, hey, this should be their fair share, so that they can come into balance, right? They're rich versus poor, more have versus have nots. All of those are another ways in which you can see how society really goes out of balance. But balance is something, in some ways, we are talking about divine balance, but as you see all the signs of balance, there is lightness, there is fulfillment, there is natural joy, natural acceptance, natural movement. When all of these things are naturally happening, what does it feel like in that moment? The other word for this is, it's divine, right? So you don't even have to say divine balance. Like somebody prepares a wonderful meal for you. It has the right ingredients, all the right ingredients, but in the right quantity, right amount also. There is right amount of sugar, there is right amount of spices, there is right amount of salt. And you eat this meal and what do you say? It's divine, right? This meal is divine. So balance is synonymous to divine. If we are in the right balance, it's divine. Like if somebody is singing and they're using hitting right notes, right? They are modulating their voice right. They are using the right instruments and everything. That song is divine song. So when everything is working naturally, that means it's already in its divine state, which means in its original state. So when you, as a soul, all your virtues, all your qualities, like all your powers, like at a physical, mental, emotional, energetic level, they are all in balance, then you're naturally in a divine state. You don't have to do a whole lot of effort separately. Sometimes you make, being in divine is like, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do all of those. You push yourself too hard. And in pushing yourself too hard, you move away from what is naturally there, the natural order. You're born with this. And it is always there with you because that's why you are being pulled. There is a signal that, hey, you won't feel comfortable when you're out of balance because there is a background signal which is coming that, hey, you're out of alignment. Something is not right. And that's why all the things which we are trying to do is trying to come back to that balance, right? So, and when we are halfway there in our balance, then also we know that it's not fully 100% there. And how do we know that if somebody loves us and they loves us fully, we know, oh, this is 100% love. But if somebody loves us half-heartedly, then it's like, oh, they love us, but it doesn't feel full, right? So we are actually, how do we know it's not 100% there, right? Because we are comparing their love or whatever they're sharing with us against something. And that against something is the full original model, which is 100%. In comparison to that 100%, something is less, right? So deep inside, we originally knows what it feels like to be in that state of divine, 100% there, against which we are comparing, we are feeling, we have that knowing that this is 100% or this is 80% or this is 70%. So that's a good news. Why? Because now you can trust that the original template, the original me is still intact because that's why it's functioning and it's always giving me signal, this is 100%, this is 80%, this is 70%. So you don't have to really struggle so hard to go outside and get it from somewhere from outside to feel complete. All you have to do is to listen to that signal which is coming from inside and feel where you need to make the effort, where you need to make the pivot. So balance is a muscle which you can develop, right? So it's a muscle which you can develop. A very good example of this is, have you seen athletes, like how they prepare themselves when they're working out, when they're preparing for a game day? Like when there is a sprinter, before he is ready to get into action, when he's ready to run, he gets into position, right? His stance is there, ready to boom. As soon as the signal is there, he's ready to run. Similarly, if somebody's playing golf, he's really mastering his stance, right? Not just outside, how he holds his wrist, how he holds his back, how he holds his hips, but internally, mentally, emotionally, what state he is in. And then he's actually taking the shot. So the athletes work really, really hard to fine tune that balance. And sometimes when athletes go out of form, right? When the sports person go out of form, they go back to their coaches. They ask like, hey, I am not performing to the level I should perform. Something has gone off, and the coach works with them to tell them, hey, your stance is a little off. Change your wrist position, change your back position so that you come back. And then they work on it, they refine it, they practice it several hours. And when they come back, they start performing again. So what you see in athletes is a optimum example at a physical level, mental level, emotional level, how they're performing to the best at their game. So for me, when I have to perform to the optimum level in my life, right? And we have met those people in our life who perform at a very optimum level, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And what do we call them? They're also athletes, but they're spiritual athletes. We call them enlightened people, right? We call them divine people because they are optimally performing using all their virtues, all their qualities, all their energies, everything of those. Uh, so the question comes, how do I come back into this original balance so that I can be ready for the new world? But before I go further, I want to pause here and want to ask if anybody has any question or any comment, anything you want to share. Is there anything else which comes to your mind when you think about balance other than what we discussed till now? Good. So let's move forward. So the question comes, how do I create balance? Because when there is lack of balance, accidents happen, right? When you're not driving in your lane, you miss your lane, or you take a exit in the wrong way. Accidents do happen. And same way, if we don't use our virtues, our qualities in the right fashion, then we end up creating imbalance in those relationships, whether it's your body, whether it's your personal relationships, professional relationship, all of those starts finding finding challenge. You feel like you're stuck, you can't move forward, there is a lot more effort involved. So I have to really see what really what really I should be doing to really bring myself back so that I can see how I can move towards my own optimum balance. The key word is my own optimum balance, because your balance is your balance and my balance is my balance, because we are all unique souls. So if you're trying to copy somebody, I want to be exactly like that. The truth is, you can dress like them, you can have the hairstyle like them, you can talk like them, you can use the same words they are using, but ultimately it won't be you. It won't be your own unique balance, because for your own unique balance, you have to find your own method, your own experimentation, which would, through your own experimentation, it would come so that you'd find this is the area I need to work, I need to perform. Just like in Raj Yoga, we have this this concept of soul, where each soul has 7 basic qualities, peace, purity, happiness, power, knowledge, bliss, all of them are there. But think of them, these qualities, as a color palette, right? So in each one, it's slightly different. So for somebody, love is the number 1, right? For somebody else, purity is the number 1. For somebody else, patience is the number 1. For somebody else, bliss is the number 1. But everybody has this. So the ratio in which these colors are mixed, the way in which we use them in our life creates the uniqueness in us, So each one of us, that's why we have to experiment and find, even though we are following the same spiritual path, following the same teaching, following the same directions, we have to experiment what really creates balance for me. Like I have been practicing meditation for several years. And when I was practicing meditation for several years, I got good at practicing sitting in silence. But then there was still something which I felt was missing, that it is not up to the optimum quality. It's not allowing me to be authentic. So I really started searching what I really need to do in my life to bring more of that authenticity in my life. And that was very personally for me. And when I started looking, I realized there is part of me where I need to open my heart more, where I need to come in connection with my heart more so that I can live from that authentic place. So that's why I started looking, and then I found one course from where I did my coaching into heart intelligence. And that a modality of heart IQ allowed me to balance that part of me, my heart, so that I can bring balance not into just my spiritual life, but at my emotional level, at a mental level, and at a at a level where all of those things needs to happen. I could have very well said like, oh, I have all the answers. Spirituality has given me all the answers, and I would just move with whatever I know. But then I would have suppressed the signal which was originally coming from inside, that I really need to be more authentic. And because I followed that journey, and it was interesting story because I started looking at people who are going to teach me. So I zeroed on 3 different people, 3 different coaches, and I didn't knew much about each one of them. So I asked one of my spiritual friend that, hey, do you know any one of them? And she said that, I heard about this guy, but I actually don't know much about him. But you see what you feel like. So I said, okay, fine, let me go with him, And he was a little reasonable in price also. So when I signed up for his course, he started sending me emails and like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm writing my next book. And he's based out of Europe. So he said like, then in one of the emails, he said, he's in San Francisco. He's actually doing a retreat and staying at a retreat center where he's actually writing his book also. So I said, like, if you are in that, in near San Francisco in Marin County, why don't you go and visit this retreat center, which is one of the weaker retreat centers, Anubhuti. And then he replied back to me, he said, that's where I am. That's where I'm doing my retreat. So that was my sign that when I've chosen him, it wasn't very random. That when I have put my request to the universe that I want to be more in balance, it brought this guy who just didn't knew, who also knew the BKs. He also used some of the meditation commentaries from them in his work. So it felt very much at home. And when I started learning, started working with him, a lot of things came to realization. A lot of things brought me back to the balance. Even though I have the knowledge of the soul, I have all the answers, but the answers are more mentally. But to have that embodied in me, how do I plan it, put it in my practice? It allowed me to experiment in a way. And that's why you would start seeing signs from the universe that you're moving in the right track, because the pieces start fitting in to help you move more towards your own divinity, your own balance. So that then I learned a lot of things. And in each modality, there are different methods which are given to help you create more balance. Like in Raj Yoga, we have 4 different pillars, right? What are those pillars? Knowledge, yoga, which is meditation, dharma, which is inculcation, and service. So if those 4 pillars are in balance, you would have a really good spiritual life, right? And in Heart IQ, what I learned was the similar pillars in slightly different way. One was that your connection with divine, with God, your connection on this earth, being on this planet, feeling you belong here rather than feeling, oh, this life is challenging, I don't want to live here, I want to check out. That is one. The other one was my connection with myself and my connection with other people, relational, So if these 4 are in alignment, then there is a natural balance. Even if one of them is out of alignment, then I'm not actually going to feel the balance. So if you're focusing too much on service, not on yoga, then what would happen? That you would be very good at doing things, but when challenges come, it would be very hard for you to deal with it, right? Because one of the pillars is weak. Similarly, from a Heart IQ perspective, you could be very good with connecting with people, right? You are the life of the party. You go wherever you go, people know you and all that. But when you have to spend time with yourself, in your own time to reflect on yourself, you have a very hard time. That's why some people come back home when they're living by themselves. The first thing they do is turn on the TV, turn on the radio, because they are not used to being by themselves, right? And similarly, other people are very good by being themselves, right? Spending time with themselves, living alone. But when they have to go into a group or into a bigger gathering, they find it very challenging to connect with people, right? Because it's very overwhelming for them. The question is, one is not better than other. The question is, when you have to do certain things, you have enough resources, enough power to bring in that balance and be able to do that, right? So the number one thing in this is to really take time to step back and listen. Listen to what is that sound which is actually coming from inside. You can call it meditation. You can call it inner reflection. You can call listening to your deeper intuition, whatever name you want to call it. But the signal is already coming. The voice is already coming. Like when we get into a not so good relationship, and whether that relationship gets over, and you look back and you say like, there were a lot of red flags there, right? But you ignored those red flags. You still moved forward. So who was telling there are red flags? Your intuition was telling you. Your intuition was guiding you. There are certain things you need to consider before you move forward. But your mind actually jumps in and says, no. Logically, you would sort out your own thing that you gave all the right reasoning, your own justification, you move forward. But ultimately, you avoided that signal. You went out of balance, and it told you as a result, as a feedback, life gives you feedback. This is not the right formula. This is not working for you. So if you're smart, you can look back and say like, life is already giving me a feedback that what choices I made are not in alignment with where I want to be. So you can pause, learn, and move forward. But if you're not looking from that perspective and you're actually looking that, oh, why this happens to me all the time? Why people behave with me like all this all the time? I always end up being in relationship like this, always suffering, always this thing. Then you're still not learning the lesson. You're still not listening to the signal, which is actually trying to tell you what is the lesson in it. So you can go through different relationships, no matter what the characters are, what people are coming from different backgrounds. But in the end, your experience ends up being the same. You feel whether abundant, you feel lost, you feel taken advantage of, taken granted for. All of this is to bring attention that certain piece of your life is out of balance, right? If you're feeling abundant, then the signal there is you need to spend more time to create more belonging, first in yourself, and then sharing that belonging with other people. But if you're still stuck with the question, why this is happening with me, this should not happen with me, why, then you would miss that lesson. So the number one is to really pause and listen, what is that signal that is coming from? Because in order to see balance, right? In order to see what is balance and what is out of balance, what you really need is a platform, right? You have to step back, step out of that situation and look from that place. Like if you want to balance a table, which is out of balance, you can stand on it, you would feel it is a little out of balance, right? Because the balance is not okay. But where it is out of balance, you have to step out of the table and really see from a distance which leg needs a little bit of work, correct? So that stepping back, stepping out of that situation is taking time for yourself. You can call it meditation, you can call it reflection, and really see what it is. Sometimes you're standing on the table which is out of balance, but people all around you actually know what is out of balance. And they've been telling you, hey, you need to get off this table and fix it. Because other people can look at it from as a third person. And you being in middle of it, you're in so much of emotion, so much of energy caught up into it, it's very hard for you to see where you're lacking balance, even though you know something is not in balance. So you have to step back and see where it is not working. And in order for you to follow that signal which is coming from inside, you need to ask some deeper questions for yourself, right? Something which are more meaningful rather than superficial. Superficial questions are like, what should I do to look good, right? How should I look good so I come across to people that everything is sorted out? My life is amazing. I have tick marked all the boxes of the script which the society has given to me. These are all artificial questions. And if you're trying to look good and you're trying very hard, it would become a very stressful life because you're not feeling good. You're just trying to look good. You're already out of balance. So when you're trying to look good, you won't feel good. And the stress of looking good is going to create more anxiety, more stress, and actually it could aggravate the original problem of you all getting out of balance. But if you turn it around and you would ask this question, what would allow me to feel good? And here, feeling good, I'm not necessarily saying, oh, I would go and have massage today, or I would spend the day in spa today, or I would eat heart full of like with chocolate, right? These are still very superficial things. And I'm not saying they're out of question in it. Like in certain situations, yeah, you need a little relaxation, you need a little bit of massage, you need a little bit of good food. But at a deeper level, what would make me truly feel good? And the thing which truly would feel good would be very simple sometimes. It doesn't need a lot of effort, because for looking good, you need to make a lot of effort. about feeling good, things could be very simple. Like for example, you make this agreement to yourself that I would only be happy when I win $1 million lottery, right? So you made this your own kind of a thing. I would only be happy when I would win $1 million lottery, and you're buying lottery tickets and all of that. And one fine day you're going to the shop to buy the lottery ticket, and then as you're walking, you find this person who's very familiar. You look at them and you get close. You realize, oh, this is one of your high school friend who you have lost touch with. It's been like 20 years. You haven't been in touch with him. And in that moment, you get so happy, so excited to see him. And it's like, oh, so nice to see you, what I've been doing and all that. So what happened to your prom is that you would only be happy when you would win $1 million. It disappeared because the happiness, the joy wasn't dependent on that $1 million. The happiness and joy was dependent on a very small thing, which is you meeting one of your childhood buddies, right? The happiness was already there. So to feel good needs very small thing, right? To have that deep conversation with other people, with yourself, to really listen to what's the voice which is coming inside. And one question which really helps me in really, really getting the message clear to me in the moment, in the present moment, is asking this question: what would Vivek do if he was truly loving to himself in this moment? So I'm asking, if I'm truly loving to myself, what should I do in this moment? And I pause and I listen. And sometimes the answers are very simple, which means, Vivek, take some time for silence. Your life is getting too full with noise. Or stand up, go take a walk. Or you need a glass of water, or breathe deeply, or call somebody. So when you ask that question, what would you really do if you were truly a loving person? You can't miss out what is the right step to do in that moment. And the beauty is, the question is very simple. And the beauty is, you have to continue asking this question moment by moment, moment by moment. So now that previous moment got over, now you ask this question: if Vivek was truly loving to himself, what would he do, right? And like you can use this question, like Sudha was really loving to himself, Anjali was really loving to herself. What would she do in this moment? And follow that direction which comes. It might look very silly sometimes. It's such a simple answer, right? Right? Sometimes the answer is like, in that relationship which is not working out fine, I should take responsibility, acknowledge where I'm wrong, and say sorry. It's very simple. But I don't want to say sorry because my ego comes in. I said, no, he was wrong, she was wrong, they did this. And then what's really happening? The whole thing keeps on getting worse. Sometimes you're feeling unsafe, you're feeling hurt, and you're getting into argument. You're trying to cover your hurt, you're trying to cover you are feeling unsafe. You're just getting into the argument, like, you did this last time, you did it previous time also. You're giving all of these examples to convey that somebody should pause and listen to you. And all you really need to do in that moment is pause and say, like, I'm feeling really hurt in this moment, and I'm feeling very unsafe in this moment. As you communicate it to other person, the other person comes to a pause. But what you have done is truly listen what you are feeling and communicated it out. So it's very simple how you can, in that very moment, it has to come into balance. And balance is a moment by moment journey, not some place, some destination where you have to reach and then everything would be perfect. But our mind would always tell you, you have to accomplish these things. You have to get this degree, get this job, get the corner office, get the car, get the home, get the girl, get the guy. And then you realize none of this probably gives you the happiness. And some of the people repeat all this process all over again. And which doesn't allow them to feel fulfilled overall, because either they were following somebody else's script of balance, or their attention was somewhere else. What would create balance? Because if your attention is outside, get the job, get the guy, get the girl, get the house, these are all external things. They are not the base thing, like the pillars in the house are not the main thing. It's the, जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं, नींव, right? The thing which is really holding everything together. And the house, the pillars, they actually support it, right? Your job, your relationships, your house, your accomplishments, these are all supporting pillars. It's not the main thing. If the main thing is missing, then you can have the fanciest of the pillars. It's not going to keep your house strong when there is earthquake or a storm, right? So when there is earthquake or a storm, it shows how solidly the house is built. So that's why you have to really bring into focus, where am I spending most of my energy? Yeah, right? Where is most of my time really going? And everything in balance is good. So in your life, you need silence as much as you need sound. You need movement as much as you need rest, right? So sound, movement, silence, and 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 all the powers which are there and all the virtues which are there, all needs to be in balance for you to work optimally. And you're the only person who can actually know how much of what in what quantity would create balance for me. And if you don't know that, then you're always trying to struggle outside. Like if something goes wrong in your life, and instead of you really taking care of yourself, supporting yourself, dealing with yourself with compassion, with love, you get really upset, you get really angry, you get really strict on yourself, start beating yourself down, getting into guilt. Like every time you do this, your life would never sort out. And your mind would bring in 10,000 examples from the past, how things have gone wrong and how it would go wrong in the future. And then you actually start feeling much worse. So in that moment, what you have done is you have used a lot of strictness, a lot of law in your life. What should happen, what shouldn't happen, you shouldn't do this. But what you really needed in that moment to feel good, feel better, was love. In that moment, you should have treated yourself with a little bit more love, a little bit more compassion. It's okay. It's okay. Everybody fails. What have you learned from this, right? So asking these questions, treating yourself with love, treating with yourself with compassion was required in that moment. And in certain situations, when you decide that you have to get up in the morning and go work out, and every morning you sleep, right? You get lazy. In that moment, it's not the time to give yourself, oh, sleep a little bit, half an hour more. You need a little more sleep, or eat a little extra chocolate or a little extra ice cream. In that moment, you have to be a little strict with yourself. Hey, you need to get up, get ready, go and do this thing. That's the time to discipline. So if you're not listening to yourself, you would switch. Where you have to use power, you would start using love. Where you have to use love, you start using power. And I'm using personal example, like for yourself. But the same thing what you're doing to yourself, you're going to do it for other people, right? You're extending the same formula to somebody else. Where you have to use love with other people, you get very strict with them, like with your kids. And where you have to be strict with them, you get very lenient and very loving to them. So that's why you don't get the results which you really want. That's why all those signs of imbalance, which is like everything becomes more effortful, everything becomes more challenging. You keep on questioning yourself, what's going on wrong with you, why this happens with you all the time. Those things are all signs of imbalance. Does it make sense? So there is that's why you have to see what is not working in your life. What is the area which needs more attention, all right? So if you're always in a lot of sound, right? You're always talking, you're always engaged outside, you really need time off to go back inside, right? You need time in silence. So there is an old Zen saying that everybody should meditate for half an hour every day. Each one of you should meditate for half an hour every day. But if you're busy, you should meditate for 1 hour. Mm-hmm. So it's the old Zen way of saying that you need to come into balance. And I used to use it as a joke previously that, hey, this is how it is. But it's a truth Zen saying. But then a few months back, I was reading an article on Harvard Business Review, and they were saying, and this is a professionally, medically acclaimed article, and they were saying the more busy you are, the more silence time you really need, right? So the more connected you are, the more disconnection you really need from outside world. And medical world is telling you these things. And now, like people's life has got so much out of balance. Like coronavirus has now created more different kind of imbalance. People previously were saying, oh, my work-life balance is totally out of whack, right? I spend so much time at work, and then I drive. Like in LA, you get stuck into traffic for 2 hours each way, and then you have hardly any time left. So there is no work-life balance. Now you're working from home, and you have a different work-life balance challenge. You're not used to spending that much time with your spouse and your kids. Your life, you have figured out a balance in your own way. Like I would spend 8-9 hours at work, come back. I would spend a couple of hours with my wife or husband or kids, do some homework, watch some TV, go back, repeat all over again. And weekend was all anyway busy with the kids and all that. But now nobody was used to seeing their kids 24/7. The wife was not used to having husband at home all the time, which is becoming irritating. And the husband is not used to be with wife all the time or the kids all the time. So that balance has gone out, in that way. So people are struggling with it. So in some ways, if you really see, we are always getting the signals that we need to pause and see what I really need to change in my life to come back into balance. So when the signal is not heard, originally the signals are very subtle, right? Like when you pause, you listen, you're in quiet, it would come as an inspiration, right? Try this, do that, call that. But when we are in so much of noise, we are not able to listen to the signal. The signal has to become louder, right? So if you're eating if you're eating unhealthy food, what you would feel initially, you would feel I overate, or it wasn't the right food. You feel it little indigestion, right? And then you take some tablet or whatever. If your body is good, it will work out. But if you keep on eating the same food, now you're going to have heartburns. You're going to have more acidity, more indigestion, and all of those. And then if you still don't listen to it, then something or other would go off in your physical body that you need to go to emergency and fix that part of your physical body. So initially the signals were coming that you were not feeling good eating that. Then it started getting more louder, that signal. You still avoided it. Then it get louder and louder, and now it started showing in form of a disease at a physical level. So that signal has to get so loud that it has to pause you from what you were doing to bring attention to what needs to be taken care of, which has gone out of balance. So all these signals were coming previously for us also in the society, that it's out of balance, when things are not okay. And we kept on avoiding, one day I would take care of it. One day when I would have these things done, when my kids would have passed out, when my kids would get married. We all have those $1 million lottery winning syndrome with us. And we avoid it. But now it has gone so out of whack, then the nature has set a pause for the whole world. It has never happened in most of our people who are alive, right? That everything has to be stopped. School has to be stopped. Office has to be stopped. This, everything, so that you can collectively step back and see what you really need to do in your life. No matter what the reason is, the pandemic is a big reason, but for all of us to really see what's really going on. And all of us, in some way or other, we already knew there were signals, right? As we have stepped back, we already knew that there were signals which are coming, but now it has come to a place where, like, boom, you need to stop. You need to focus on what you really need to do. And I have heard some amazing stories. If your basic needs met, you have food on your table, you have house, you have a job, and all of those things, then a lot of people are able to utilize this great time. I had one friend who I was talking to, and he said, like, my daughter was going to college later this year, and if I was working, I would have never got time to spend with her. But now in last 4 or 5 months, I was able to spend time, get to know her better, get to know her dreams, what she really wants, and she could actually appreciate that I'm interested in her life, right? So it created much more stronger bond for that person. For other people, they started evaluating, is this the career I want to be? Is this the next thing which I really want to be? So all of these things have brought in this more pinpointed attention, what I really need to do, what I really need to bring into focus, what is more meaningful to me. So when we have the cart before the horse, we were thinking about all the pillars outside, looking good. Now there's no looking good. You're not going to a party anymore, right? I'm on the Zoom. I'm as good as I would look. I would change my background, but that's as good as I would look. So I don't have to go spend time in doing a lot of shopping, because some people have to shop every weekend to feel good, right? Or some people have to always go out in the restaurant and feel good. But this pandemic has shown us how much we can still continue with our life with very little stuff. We can learn how to cook even if it was difficult. So we are cooking now, right? We can learn how to feel comfortable in our home clothes, how to have more connection with ourselves. We can call people and still have the meaningful conversations, have more meaningful relationships. So less is more. It has shown us, right? So now I have to see how I can move forward to really create that fulfillment, that balance in my life. Anybody would like to share uh, what is the benefit you have experienced in this corona pandemic, pause which has happened? Anybody would like to share what is your personal learning, personal meaningful thing which has come up for you?
May I speak, please?
Sure, go ahead. Who is it?
Yeah, you seem to be more practical. I'm Mari Kusum. I'm from
Mm-hmm.
Sri Lanka. I came here 4 years ago. I got knowledge in 1990. So I come, but there have been breakups. But you seem to be talking practical life, how you can. So that's nice, brother. Also, the pandemic. You wanted to know what had really happened. Now, I was somebody struggling, like I have to use public transport to get to the Los Angeles center, and I couldn't communicate with them. So the Zooming thing came up, and you can really connect with Baba, connect with the family. So that's one thing. And also, if we take into consideration the time, now we are waiting for the Zooming class, right? We're looking forward for it, some sort of meditation, something to listen to. Even now I ran short of time, and I saw the time, oh my God, clock has gone off. But still I thought, no, even to hear one word from you all are talking with experience. I know, because when you go through that Brahma Kumari's routine, starting at 4 o'clock, you know what it's going on, right? With the Murli Devi. So I know you are somebody. I can sense it, I can feel it. So that now, how if the pandemic didn't come, I wouldn't get to hear you. I wouldn't get to hear the other dadis and the didis. And then if we apply all these things to our day-to-day life, we are stressed out, we are tensed up, and I'm lonely. I'm telling you, I'm lonely. I'm really dying of loneliness because I have family there. When I came here, I thought my children are there. My son is in Riverside, one is in New York, the one who stayed here went to Singapore. I'm trying to do a quick thing because others will get bored of. So, with all these things, living an isolated life in somebody else's home also specifically. So this pandemic, this situation, and even, it wouldn't have opened doors to the Brahma Kumaris if it didn't happen. So this is a blessing. I consider it as a blessing. And also we can change our lives. If we really apply all these teachings, listen to you, listen to some other dadi or didi coming up, they're all helping us. They're all helping us to survive. I know the center is not taking anything at all because I sponsor the Sri Lankan center, but I know Brahma Kumaris are just offering, and that was Bab Dada's intention too. So this blessing, it's a blessing. Where will anybody give us any knowledge? And Raja Yoga and this knowledge, this connection that you all teach us to connect with the Supreme Soul, the Paramatma, God, or whatever people want, however they want to think, is only taught by the Brahma Kumaris. And thank you for being there for us. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks for sharing. So there are like a lot of stories how people benefited if they can focus on going inside. So like in all of our lives, each one of us have our own virtues, our own qualities. So the virtues are like sweetness, lightness, love, compassion, all of those things. And then there is another hand, we have also powers, right? Some of you who follow Brahma Kumaris or Raj Yoga, the powers are power to face, power to tolerate, power to do all of those things. So if you use them in a good balance, there is natural divine balance, right? Which really works. And what I mean by that is like, where you need to use the virtue, you need to use the virtue. Where you need to use the power, you have to use the power. So like, for example, sweetness and love are virtues. They're great virtues. But if somebody is taking advantage of you or abusing you, in that moment, you need to use the power, not the virtue. So the power to face, power to stand up for yourself and say, no, this is not okay, right? But in that moment, if you use sweetness, then too much of sweetness would make the dish go bad, right? You need to use the right amount of sweetness. But on the other hand, you need to use the power. So in Indian mythology, when we show deities, right? Deities are shown with all the qualities, right? All the virtues, but not just that, but the balance of each one of them perfectly. So when they show that, what they're really showing is they were really accurate in using the virtues and powers in the right balanced form. That is the key. We all have that, but why our life is not bringing the same amount of result is because we lost the balance where what needs to be used. And one of the things which has happened is, like, as you go inside, pause and go inside, you would realize certain things. And one of the thing is that instead of listening to our heart and listening to our intuition, we started listening to most of our mind. Our mind creates so many thoughts. At an average, our mind creates how many thoughts? Around 50 to 60,000 thoughts in a day. And how many actions you usually take in a day? You take probably 20, 30 actions. If somebody's really busy, 50 actions, right? So technically, if you have one thought, you need to have one action related to it. Like if I feel thirsty, I need to get up, go to the water cooler, get a cup of water and drink it and come back to my place. But from the time I have a thought, I'm thirsty, I get up, I walk all the way to the water cooler. I have so many thoughts. While I'm drinking, there are so many thoughts. And while coming back, I have so many thoughts. So I probably wasted 50 thoughts for just one action. So imagine if we are taking 50 actions or maybe 100 actions, and we have 50,000 thoughts, then 49,900 thoughts are going waste, right? So any factory or any organization where 99% of the energy is going waste, what's going to happen to that factory? It's going to get shut down in a very short period of time, or it would go bankrupt. And that's what's happening, because every single thought is using the energy of me, my soul, right? So these are my thoughts. Anything which I'm saying my thoughts, like my home, my spouse, my job, anything which is related, it belongs to something. And what it belongs to is that original soul or the being, whatever name you want to call it. So they are actually depleting the energy of me. Now with thoughts, it's just not thoughts. Every single thought you think, there is a emotion related to it. Now you feel that emotion. If the negative thought, negative emotion. So every time you think about something bad which has happened in the past, it brings in that emotion of hurt, emotion of guilt, emotion of whatever it is, right? And every time there is a negative emotion, you get angry. So every single time you get angry, like whether you suppress your anger or you blow it out, either way, as per medical science, you lose 6 hours of immunity in your body. So every time you get angry, 6 hours of immunity, your body is more susceptible for different diseases. So imagine if somebody is always negative, always angry, they are more likely to fall sick compared to somebody who is always living in positivity. Even though they are suffering because of some physical ailment, if they keep positive attitude, it works. That's what the whole placebo effect is, right? So you think positively and it works for you. So what we have done is we have gone out of balance between first sound and silence. The amount of sound in our voice, in our life is way too much. Imagine how much time you spend on your phone, how much is the screen time, how much time you're talking, versus how much time you're in silence, right? How much time you spend in looking good versus feeling good, right? So you can make a list. This makes me feel good or this makes me looks good, and see which list is bigger, correct? And I'm not saying that you can't look good by feeling good, but first is feeling good and then looking good, because if you're feeling good, you'd automatically look good. If you're happy inside, you would glow, and people would ask, like, why you look so peaceful? Why you look so happy? So whether you're following your spiritual life properly, whether you're following all the directions, whatever philosophy you believe in, it's actually working for you. It's making you feel good. Imagine you have the best of the knowledge, best of the philosophy, but you're not able to apply. You're not able to get the results which you really want. What's going to happen? What's the value of that knowledge? What's the value of all of those things if you're not able to apply and create that happy experience for yourself? It might make you look good. You have all the degrees, right? You're passed out from Harvard or IIT, whatever it is. But personally, you're not happy. So that's why first important thing is to focus on what makes me feel good. And that is bringing attention to your own inner soul rather than the physical body. And both are important. So if you take care of your soul, then you would listen to all the messages which are coming. Then you can take care of your mind, body, emotions. All of those naturally falls in order. But everything, if you come from a place of body, then you go to gym, you have the right food, you eat all the organic stuff, your body is really strong. But at a mental and emotional level, if a situation comes, you are a complete mess. So would you have a fulfilled experience of your life? No. So you need to spend some time in the gym of mental and emotional power, right? Which is meditation provides you that. So seeing what is the balance of sound and silence in my life, seeing what makes me feel good, what makes me looks good, what's the balance of that. Also coming to how much I listen to my heart versus how much I listen to my head, right? How much I'm overusing my head. Like sometimes in the past when something has happened and you really trusted somebody from your heart, you really knew that I can put my trust on them, whether they could be your parents, your husband, your close relatives, whoever it is. But for some reason they hurt you and it breaks your heart. So when your heart is broken, then it is very hurtful. When it's really hurtful, the last thing you really want is to open yourself or trust somebody in such a way that they would get opportunity to break your heart again. So what you do is, I'm not going to operate from here. I'm going to operate from here because this would keep me safe. And that's what mind is. Mind's whole job is one thing, to keep you safe. That's why it would avoid short-term pain. It would avoid you to experience pain, but take you towards pleasure. Like in the morning, getting up in the morning and going for your workout is a good thing to do. But getting up in the morning is difficult. It's painful. So what would mind say? Take it easy, sleep. Tomorrow, the diet would start from tomorrow, right? The exercise would start from tomorrow. So there is a song, in Hindi called Dil Se Re. So, but the person changes that song and say Kal Se Re, everything is tomorrow. So they are going to practice from tomorrow because mind is only working on one philosophy. How should I avoid pain right now and get towards pleasure so that I feel comfortable? That's why in certain relationship, you have to stand up for yourself and say, this is wrong. You should not be doing it. But you avoid making that difficult choice because what would other person think? That would make me look good, look bad. I shouldn't say this thing. Let me suck it in, be okay. And a lot of times you keep on piling till the time you reach a point where you realize you can't continue doing this. But then at that point of time, the pressure builds so much that the same no, which you should have said 2 years back, now it's 2 years late, the pressure has built so much, it would come out in the wrong time, wrong place, in the wrong manner, and with a small trigger. So then it won't give you the result which you should have got. And especially it's true with women because women suppress a lot, in their life. So that's why as you suppress, inside this is not right. Because when you suppress, what's going to happen? You start feeling the heaviness. There is no more lightness inside. You feel heavy. You carry that load with you, which means you have already gone out of balance. So anytime you feel heavy, anytime you feel that there is not natural flow, then that is a sign something is out of balance, which means you're resisting something. Like sometimes people do not want to face the reality. So for example, very simple example is, reality is somebody said something to you and you're feeling hurt, right? So you're feeling hurt, but from outside you want to show that I'm strong, I'm not feeling hurt. Whether you're showing it to somebody else or you're showing it to yourself. Because if you're hurt, you're feeling sad, you want to cry. But inside, you have this story going on. If you cry, you are a weak person, right? So you don't want to cry because if you cry, you are a weak person. You start avoiding acknowledging you are hurt, and you stop yourself from feeling the hurt, feeling the sadness. And sadness, hurt, all of these are natural parts of human life. So what you're doing, you're resisting feeling hurt. What's going to happen then? The hurt would continue to stay inside. The grief would continue to stay inside and it would continue to accumulate. So the next time something happens, it adds to that and it adds to that and it adds to that. And then at one point of time, it becomes so heavy for you to carry that somebody would say a little bit of thing and you would completely blow up. The whole thing would come out like a volcano in front of that person. And that person would say like, I didn't even meant that. I just said a small thing. But that small thing was just the prick into a big thing, which was you're carrying with yourself. So in spirituality, when you are actually calling that let go of your baggage, what you are really trying to communicate is let go of all of this stuff which you are resisting to experience. Like sometimes we have no answers for certain things. We are in a difficult situation. We are very hopeless, and we are also very powerless, like things when they are out of control. So right now, as think some of the people feel it's out of control, they are powerless in those situations, whether politically, what's happening in the country, whether emotionally, what's happening in their relationship. So you have to allow yourself to feel what is going on, which means you're feeling hopeless and you're feeling powerless in this moment. And it's okay to feel that, because in certain times, we all feel all of these things. That doesn't make that like you are a failure or whatever it is. So you have to allow yourself, because the more you resist feeling hopeless and powerless, the more that same feeling will build up. Because the main rule is what you resist will persist, right? And then you are creating more pressure for yourself, more challenge for yourself, and you naturally, even before you know it, you're going to be out of balance. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So that's why it's very, very important for you to pause, step back inside, and see what's really going on. The number one rule to come into balance is to be real with yourself. To real means to check what's really happening, not to be in denial, right? So as you check, you would continue to experience more power, more lightness, more whatever it is, right? Which needs to move forward. Because, say, sometimes there's the old saying, you have to lie 1,000 times to save one lie, right? And if you tell truth once, you're free. So imagine if you do not acknowledge what's going on, you keep on lying to yourself. Oh, this is not what it is. This is not what it is. But inside, you're getting hurt. You're getting upset. You're feeling powerless. You're feeling hopeless. You're telling the lies to yourself. What's going to happen? You have to continue that story. But the moment you acknowledge, I'm hurt, I'm feeling powerless, I'm feeling confused. And to tell you that I work with a lot of people, like one-on-one coaching or retreats. And in retreats, I ask people that how many of you feel powerless? How many of you feel hopeless? And you see every single one raises their hand. And when other people go through the same thing, then they relax. Oh, I'm not the only one who feels this way. But collectively, all of us are feeling in different ways. The stories are different, the flavors are different, but each one of us has the same fear: the fear of being rejected, fear of being left out, fear of not being appreciated or accepted. Like I was listening to one program of Oprah. Oprah took a lot of people's interviews, a lot of celebrities, a lot of presidents. And she said after every interview, after the cameras were off, each one asked the same question. Did I did good? Was it good enough? Because everybody wants to feel accepted, even though he was the president of United States or he was the best actor, but everybody wants to feel accepted because everybody's struggling in some way or other. So acknowledging it's okay, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling this. And you have to let go of all what the should language is. The mind would come, oh, you are following a spiritual path for 30 years. You should be happy. But the reality is you're not. So if you really want to move forward in your spiritual life, you have to acknowledge that you're not happy. And you have to ask this question, why you're not happy, so that you are real, and then actually start looking for the solution. Like when I moved on my journey, something wasn't okay. But instead of avoiding it, I sat with it. I faced the pain of it that something is not okay. I'm not feeling authentic. I need to find something else. And I followed that journey, even though I didn't have all the answers. I still don't have every single answer. But right now, I have the feeling inside I'm on the right track. And as long as I have the feeling I'm on the right track, that's pretty good. I don't need to have all the answers. But the mind would always want to know exactly the whole answer, exactly everything, how the next turn would be, how the next challenge would be, because so that it can feel safe. And the question is, you can only feel safe so much. You have only so much control in your life. So there is an old saying, relax, everything is out of control. So just acknowledge that it's okay to all work out. As long as you have that feeling, you would move forward. So the balance between silence and sound, balance between feeling good versus looking good, the balance between how much I'm being authentic or real versus how much I'm fooling myself? If you answer these questions, you put it on the paper, I tell you one thing, you would exactly know what the answer is to these questions, because deep inside, all of you know the answers. Because each one of you know the answer so that you can follow your own journey to your own authentic self, to your own hero life. So there was a movie I was watching today. It was called, what was it called? Let me check. I forget the name of it.
Forgot the name.
The movie's name was Finding Joe. And he talks about, and this guy was in I sent it to some of you guys who are here, early 20th century. This guy went and researched a lot of stories from a lot of tradition, Greek, Roman, Mayans, all of those. And these were the stories of all the heroes in each of these tradition and each of these cultures. And he found there is a common link in all of these stories of these heroes. So the common link was 3 steps, what he talked about. He talked about everybody could be hero of their life, but for the first step for hero to come into their first waking up is called separation. They have to be separated from the reality they are currently living in. So if you feel this was what the world has given to me, right? This was, I have to find a job, do the degree, get the job, do all those things which I explained to you before. If this was what it is, then you are still sleeping. But something would happen, whether a relationship would break down, you would lose your job, or like we are going through this pandemic, which has stopped everything. So we get separated from our so-called normal life. We get switched to a different reality where we start questioning everything. Like, why is this not working? What is the next thing for me? So the heroes get separated first from their regular reality so that they can really see what is truly real, not what is they were like sleeping and going through sleepwalking in their life. The second thing is initiation. Initiation is the hero has to be initiated, which means hero has to start looking what gives meaning to their life. He starts experimenting with different things. He starts questioning, like this list, which I'm telling you to make for yourself. This is like initiation so that you can start thinking. Like you also know that I use my head too much. People who have a problem when they're meditating and they can't stop their thoughts, that means your mind is out of balance with your heart. You have to trust that you are the divine soul, not to think you are a divine soul, right? You have to trust you are a divine soul. And I gave you the example why you are a divine soul or a divine being, because you already know deep inside what it feels to be full, what it feels when it's 100%, 50%, because if you're comparing against something, and what you're comparing against is already there inside, against which you are comparing to see what is 100%, what is 60%, which means you're already 100% there inside, but you're not in touch with that 100% of you. That's why you feel confused. That's why you look for outside to get those things from outside, which you can't have access inside. So you get initiated, you go through this reality check, difficult exercise. And some of you have to really feel a little disappointed, right? Because some of you would come to this fact that I have been living a spiritual life for 40 years, but I have not even experienced 20% of what it says you should happen in your life, how much fulfilled I should be. And that's okay. First, you have to come to reality where you are. And then you say, how should I move from here? Because wherever you are right now is exactly where you should be, including every single person who is there in your life, whether he is very loving or very, very challenging, is placed in your life for that same reason. Because you don't learn the lessons without going through the challenge. Think of it that when you're born in this life, before that, the lesson of your life is, say, you have to learn patience, right? So there is a whole group of people, and you ask them, I need to learn this lesson of patience, and I have to really learn it strongly so that I can carry it further in my life. So one of them raises their hand, one of the people in the group, hey, I'm going to help you learn the lesson of patience. And I'm going to do so many things which are wrong that you have to really have patience with me. He said, okay, great. Okay, I would be your dad, right? And the other person says, I have to learn the lesson of tolerance. The other person says, okay, I would help you learn the lesson of tolerance. I would push so many of your buttons that you have to really learn how to be tolerant. Okay, great. I would be your mom. Now you get these parents who are always challenging you, who are always pushing your buttons, and you are questioning because you forget you have this agreement. You come and you start questioning, why did I got these parents? One is so much pushing my buttons and one is so much creating problems in my life. But if you keep on stuck with the question, why this, why that, you would lose the perspective of what is the lesson in me. So that's your reality check. So every single person, your sibling, your boss, they are there for you to bring to the point what needs to happen, what you need to focus on. So instead of questioning why this person is doing this to me, the question is, what is the lesson I need to learn in this relationship? Or what is the lesson I need to learn in these relationships where I always end up in the same situation again and again? Okay. So second part is the inhibition, and then you start experimenting what works, what doesn't work, what really need to do. Like I didn't knew I want to be a life coach because I didn't even know what life coach is. I was like, I'm having my job, I'm doing this thing. But then I got on my journey, I said, I'm going to follow what would give me happiness, even though from outside it would look like I'm just very, very much caught up into the outside world. But I have to get in touch with what gives me joy. So I started following. The first thing which I really liked was I really like music. So I started using music and became a DJ for a short while. And then after some months, I realized I am good at being DJing, but I can't, this is not something I want to do with my life. So then I switched to photography. I'm good at photography. I used it for some time, but this is not what I really want to do with my life. There's something more deeper. Then I followed the next pointer to joy. I started doing surfing for a while, and I was like, I really like ocean. I want to go there. Do I want to do that? After some time, I realized this is not what I really want to do. Before I just stumbled upon, I want to work with people. I want to help them grow. I want to transform their life. This is really fulfilling. But is this the end thing? No, this is not. But I'm on the right track. That's all it is. So that is the second thing. And as you start experimenting, following this track, moving forward with it, because you are the only one who can pinpoint, this is what fulfillment for me. This is what peace of mind for me. This is what love for me. I want love and in this manner. So that's how you would start experimenting. You would start finding people who would challenge you to help you learn those lessons. And then the final step is you become so used to using these qualities in your own right balance. Then that is the returning home of the hero, which is the third part of that story. So you have separation, you get pulled out of your current reality, something happens, which helps you question everything. The second part is initiation. You become realistic, trying to figure out what I really need to do with my life, what I need to make changes. And as you start making those changes, start finding your own fine balance, then you start returning to home, which is the third and the last part where everybody sees, oh, he's an overnight success. They don't know how many overnights he spent to be that success, right? He probably has spent 80 years, 70 years, 60 years to become that success. And that moment, every action you do is so perfect, so balanced. People call it is divine. His singing is divine. His food is divine. His words he uses divine, right? What they're really saying, in other words, is it's really balanced. Everything is in the right quantity, right order, right way. And the first person to enjoy that divinity is who? You.
Myself.
Whether anybody recognizes or not, you are the first person who knows that, because you are the one who's feeling light. You're the one who's feeling effortless. You're the one who's moving with presence. You are the one who has the knowing deep inside what's the next step to go for. So there are a lot of different things to it, which we can probably go in another part of the workshop. But as you use this opportunity where we are, this pandemic, and pause and do this exercise for yourself, then you would become the new you. Because one thing you should understand, when the world opens up again and all that, whenever it's going to happen, it's not going to be the same old world. It would be the new normal. And who you want to be in the new normal? Would you want to struggle with the same problems? You're still going to struggle with looking good. You're still trying to please other people, trying to play the same game. From outside, you want to look great, but inside, you're not fulfilled. So the new you is you who is coming from this place of knowing that you are eternal being. You are already who you are. It's like you're looking for internet connection, right? You're looking for that cable to connect to internet connection. And you're so stressed that I'm not connected. Like I'm talking your connection with God. But you stop looking and you sit, and then you realize you're already on Wi-Fi. Why you're so worried? You're already online, but you're so stressed about looking things in a certain manner. It has to be in that way that you completely lose perspective that you're already connected. like in this moment, right now, that all the channels are here in this moment, right? Like your TV channels, I mean, CNN, HBO, this, that. But you're not able to see it. You're only seeing me and I'm seeing you because we're not tuned to that channel. But those channels, those radiation, those vibrations are coming there. Similarly, your FM channel. But as soon as you connect to that channel, you're able to see that, what the programming is. Similarly, the God's energy, universal energy, the pure energy is still available, but you're not tuned in. That's why you're not able to experience it, but it's still there. So the reality is still there, but you're not tuned into that. So all you have to do is to step back, pause. First of all, connect with your own divine energy. And the second thing is, then you would be able to connect with whatever higher energy you want to connect with. So some of these steps which I shared is actually going to help you. So the number one step is to be really realistic, where you are, what you really need to do. Number two is not to beat yourself with where you are, be okay with it. Understand it's your hero journey. You're being separated. You're now in initiation. And as you practice through it, you would finally reach that place. Simple question to help you come back to what you really need to do, bring balance in your life. If you get too confused, is ask this question: if I am really loving to myself, what should I really do? It would instantly bring you into that. And see how much time you have spent in sound versus silence, how much time you spend into head versus heart, right? Because if there is too much of head and less of heart, then you will have a lot of accomplishment, you won't be fulfilled. But what you really want is to come from your heart, to really live your life from here, from an experience perspective, so you can feel more fulfilled. So that's why once all of these things start happening, then my masculine and my feminine would start getting into balance. Now this whole world's energy is becoming very masculine. That's why everybody's like in very much this strong mode. The loving, caring energy, the feminine energy is missing here. So as the world, so we are not just as oh, you are a woman only, you are feminine. No, I as a man has to get in touch with my feminine part, my creativity, my openness, my compassion. So the whole world has to collectively shift to balance it out. And that's the time which is given to us to step back, pause, and see how should I do that. Okay, so I would pause here. I would want to finish with 5 minutes of meditation. But before that, if anybody has any burning question which they can't wait for, you can ask it now. You can unmute yourself and ask. So somebody asked how to bring authenticity to meditation. A very simple way to bring authenticity to meditation is, as you're sitting in meditation, most authentic meditation is meditation without expectation. And what I mean by that is you're not sitting in meditation with a particular goal. I want to experience bliss. I want to be completely blissed out. I want to become karmatit or full right now. The whole goal of meditation is one, is to sit. That's it. That's your commitment. And be free from expectation, because the number one lesson of spirituality is to be free from desires. So the number one desire is, if your meditation is based on a desire itself, how you're going to become free itself, right? So sit and be real with what's going on, and then accept what's going on, not to struggle with it. You want it in a certain way, it's not, but accept that, hey, I am this, I'm struggling. Okay, I'm struggling, that's okay. I'm a loving being of light. I am. Not struggle with that. Don't bring your mind and say 10,000 things how when you are not that. So as you question yourself and be real, more real, then you naturally step into meditation and becomes more authentic. Also, it's a good idea to use songs, music, some guided meditation for your meditation, but then sit with yourself and see what naturally emerges for you, because what's not allowing you to experience the true you when you're going inside is all the stuff which you have accumulated, all the versions of the story where you're not good enough, where you're hurt, and all of that. So as you come inside, the first thing you face is all of this stuff. And you struggle with this stuff. You don't want to acknowledge sometimes, or you are still holding the hurt. So the easy way to really go to that part which is really authentic, really loving, the real you, is to accept all of it. Yeah, I failed. I did this. I'm feeling hurt. As you accept, you just go through this whole journey, and anything which is blocked, as you allow yourself to accept it, you feel it, you heal it. That's the golden rule of all the healing. Whatever you feel, you can heal. And whatever you don't feel, you would stay away from it. And it would keep you entangled into that resistance of it. So feel it. If you're feeling hurt, it's okay. If you're feeling sad, it's okay. If you're feeling grief, it's okay. It's part of the process. And as you feel through everything, what's left then? Nothing. It's just you there, who's always there. And the glimpses of this real you always get it in meditation here and there because it's there, but it's not always accessible. So the more authentic you are, the more you're able to access your real you, right? It doesn't have to be very difficult. So let's sit relaxed, everybody. And I'm going to do a little bit of meditation so that you can bring that stuff which we have talked about more closer to your heart. So it's very simple exercise. It's not Raj Yoga or anything else. Just follow what I'm saying in simple words. You can keep your eyes closed or open. It's up to you. So sit relaxed, close your eyes or keep it open. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your back supported by the chair. And just take a deep breath in. So this deep breath is real deep breath, which is like filling your body with oxygen. And as you exhale, just let go of anything which doesn't belong in this moment. Take another deep breath in, all the way, and exhale. And as you exhale, just let go of anything which doesn't belong in this moment. And now what we are going to do is we are going to be a little authentic with different parts of us. So we would start with our physical body. So check your physical body all the way from the top of your head to your feet and see how you feel in this moment physically. And I'm not saying I'm saying feel, not use your head to check. Feel, how do you feel? You feel connected, you feel really in a good place, feel grounded, or you don't feel grounded, you don't feel connected or partially connected. And each one of them is all good. So it's not a judgment exercise, just be okay with it. Okay, I'm feeling a little pain here or little whatever it is. And your mind would come with a story. You're feeling this because of this. Acknowledge that story, keep it aside, but come back to your physical body. Feel into it. And if there is a part which is calling for special attention, your back, your belly, or whatever it is, shoulder, take your attention there. Feel into it, like you can actually breathe into that part, like in your shoulders, in your neck. And listen to it, what it is trying to say in this moment. And as you listen to it without judgment, you can respond back to that part by saying, take whatever you want in this moment. Give that part the permission to receive whatever it wants. And as you give it the permission, it knows what it wants. You can feel the shift in energy slightly, even if you've just given the permission. And you can go to different parts as you go through it. And acknowledging each part, feeling into it, listening to it, and allowing it to receive what it wants. The next step is into your energetic body, the energy, the chi, the prana, the life force which is within us, around us also in form of aura. See, how's your energy right now? Are you feeling alive? Are you feeling open? Are you feeling very excited or overwhelmed? One is not better than other, but just see, acknowledge what's there. And if your mind tells you a story about you're feeling this because of this, keep it, acknowledge it, keep it aside, come back to your energy. See how you feel right now. Acknowledge it. Everything is okay. And given what you're feeling energetically, what is it that you really want in this moment? The keyword is in this moment. Do you want to feel more alive, more energy? Or if you are overwhelmed, you want less energy? That's also okay. Or you are good wherever you are, and that's great. Now the next step is to check what's going on emotionally. What emotions are there? Are you happy, sad, excited, calm? You could be having more than one emotion, like happy or sad at the same time, excited and calm also at the same time. And you may be having no emotion, maybe just very peaceful or very blank. Either way, it's okay. Also see what the mind story is right now telling you, because mind would always tell you something. If there is nothing, it's great, but acknowledge that story, leave it aside, and check, given what you're feeling emotionally right now, what is it that you really want in this moment? Not tomorrow, not day after tomorrow, but in this moment. If you feel disconnected, you want more connection, more openness, more ease. If you're very open, you want to be close, that's okay too. So check what you really want and give yourself permission that, hey, I allow myself to experience this. Now check your mind. Are there any thoughts? What thoughts are there? What's not there? And if you're cool, just stay that way and acknowledge what is there instead of struggling with it. And continue to breathe deeply as we are in this space. And the next step is connect to your soul, to your higher self, to God in this moment, and check if there is a message for you in this moment. In form of a word, it could be a sentence, a phrase, a vibration feeling, and maybe nothing also, that's okay too. So check what is the message in this moment. And acknowledge that message as it comes, whatever it is, with a little internal smile. And now I want you to bring into your awareness, how does it feel, or how would it feel when you are completely full? And completely full means whatever is your version of being completely loving, or completely fully pure, fully compassionate, or say karmatit, or whatever it is. What would it feel like when you are in that place? And some of you have glimpses of it sometimes, and even if you don't have experience of it fully, you all know deep inside what would it feel like, because that's why you are seeking whatever you are seeking. So what would it feel like to be fully loving, fully bright light, fully pure, fully amazing you? How would it feel in your body to feel like that, that you're completely loving, completely compassionate, like full, your full potential? How would you feel energetically, like at every single cellular level? How would it feel emotionally? What is that full, true, authentic version of you? How would it feel when you're completely authentic and true, free from ego, just like pure instrument? So breathe into it, like breathe. This is feeling deeply inside your bones, in your energy, in your emotions. And just trust this is you. This is always happening you. This part is always there with you. Even now, you're not so much in touch with it as much as you would want to be, but still there. In the future also, it would be there. It has always stayed with you throughout the journeys of your life. But we somehow forget it in different ways. But truly acknowledge this is me. Even though your mind would say this is not, you are not that good. That is also okay. That's mind's job. But deep inside, nothing has to change for you to step into this. And from this place now, connect to God, connect to universe, connect to Baba, whoever you want to connect to, like a full, bright light, fully pure, fully aware, fully amazing you, the real hero, and see how it feels to connect to God, to universe from this place. So take a deep breath in, feel into this feeling, being there, being this is the real you. And when you're ready, whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes, feel your body, or you can sit there as long as you want. So I would pause here. And Sister Lisa, I'll give it back to you. Thank you, everyone. And if any one of you want to have any question or something, you can reach out to Sister Lisa. She can give my contact to you. But my wish to all of you is to enjoy being this real you, no matter how much confused you are, how much challenged you are with situation inside, outside. But this part of you would always be with you because this is real you. It won't leave you, even though your mind would say it's not with you. But trust it's there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vikram Bhai.
Vivek, you were wonderful. I loved
Wonderful.
it.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, if in future we would, when we have a workshop, we would go more deeper into certain other aspects, but all the best. Thank you. Om Shanti.
I hope you come again,
Soon.
Bhaiji. I hope you come again.
Soon.
Thank you so much.
Vikram Bhai.
Sure.
Thank
Okay.
you,
Bye.
It was so inspiring and practical.
Welcome. Yeah.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Bye.
Shanti.
Om Shanti.